Good afternoon. Planned Parenthood funding entered the public discourse with fervor in July of 2015 with the Center for Medical Progress's release of an undercover video along with allegations that Planned Parenthood profited from the sale of fetal tissue. Today we ask the question, are the interests and rights of American women best served by the continued funding of Planned Parenthood by the federal government? We look at the issue of funding presented in three arguments and analyze the viewpoints. The first article, titled Born, Not Free, was published in the 2016 edition of The Nation and was written by Bryce Covert and Mike Konzel, who argue in support of Planned Parenthood funding based on financial implications. Aristotle's logos theory is evident in their use of statistics to support their argument, with statements like Planned Parenthood received $528 million from the federal government annually, and 79% of Planned Parenthood patients fall below the poverty line. The second theory that can be applied here is the elaboration likelihood model. Again, with the same strong use of statistics, it encourages the reader to use central processing to analyze the argument and draw broader conclusions. Statements like a woman denied abortion is 3 times more likely to fall below the poverty line, and low-income women are 6 times more likely to have unplanned pregnancies. These have an emotional impact on the reader and are tied to Aristotle's use of pathos. The third article, Politicizing Women's Choices Again, by Maureen Sean Kennedy, was published in 2012 in the American Journal of Nursing. This is the second article. Kennedy argues for Planned Parenthood funding and presents the political viewpoint. Politics is one of the 6 major ethical perspectives, and Kennedy demonstrates public communication as a place to foster basic political issues. She sets the stage with her statement. In April, a resolution calling for an amendment to an appropriations bill was introduced into the House of Representatives. Kennedy acknowledges an ethical aspect of the argument in her statement. Abortion is associated with strongly held moral, religious, and personal convictions. But she follows with this statement, but efforts to defund Planned Parenthood are misguided, and in doing so downplays an alternate argument and the validity of the ethical argument. Social judgment theory can be seen here in her use of an idea, evaluating an idea by comparing it to current attitudes. She does so in this statement. It wasn't long ago that women were prohibited from voting or owning property. We laugh now at the ridiculousness of this. But have we really progressed all that much if women's health and lifestyle issues can still be subject to the approval of others? The third article, The Horror of Planned Parenthood and How to Stop It, was published in the National Right to Life News in October of 2015. Its author, Tony Lowinger, opposes Planned Parenthood funding for ethical reasons. Aristotle's pathos is effectively used here. He creates an emotional appeal for the rights of the unborn. This is demonstrated in his statement, our nation will one day be judged by how we have treated the weakest and most vulnerable members of our human family. Rank's model of persuasion also applies with the intensification of his argument by arguing solely based on the aspect of ethics. Lowinger creates an emotional appeal which encourages us to evaluate this argument at the peripheral level without analysis of other factors by eliminating those arguments. We have discussed the persuasive theories used in these articles, but we need to answer the question, were they effective? In my case, my personal support for Planned Parenthood funding has not wavered. It has in fact been strengthened by Covert and Konzel's and Kennedy's measured arguments. They effectively evaluate the political and financial implications of defunding with well-supported arguments. They rely on content premise and present rational and measured evidence to support their arguments. Kennedy also effectively uses reasoning from analogy in her conclusion, comparing women's health rights with the right for women to own property. Lauinger, in contrast, in his opposing argument, infers guilt based on one heavily edited undercover video. His conclusions drawn from this represent a misuse of reasoning and evidence that damage his credibility. Thank you.